This is 21-year-old Connor Upton, son, brother and father.
On the 6th of June 2010, that all changed when he was murdered by a man with a knife.
PC Lisa Jones has been talking to Connor's mum, who explains how his death has affected their lives.
I'm Yvonne, and I'm the mum to Connor, who was stabbed in 2010.
Okay, so we've mentioned Connor, and you mentioned that Connor lost his life to knife crime. Do you want to just tell us a bit about that one, if that's okay?
What, the night that he died?
If you wouldn't mind, if that's okay.
Okay. It was a Saturday on June the 5th. We were supposed to go to my sister's for her 40th, but he decided he was going to go out with his fiance's mum for her birthday. So I never seen him then again. He went off out. I went to my sister's 40th. When I came home, I went to bed. I'd got my grandson. I went to bed and the phone started ringing about 3 a.m, which I left. And then in the end I did go down and answer it, and it was my daughter. And she just told me that Connor had been stabbed. And at that point I never really thought nothing of it. I just thought, he'd been stabbed, a little cut, he'd be fine, he'd be home. And then the next thing, the phone rang again, and it was my oldest son saying the same, that Connor had been stabbed and he was coming to fetch me. So I got ready and he was there, and we went up to the hospital, Burton Hospital. When I got there, the car park was just full. Outside A&E was just full of people. A lot of them were family, my nephews, nieces, and then friends of Connor. I went into the hospital with my son, and the nurse came up and spoke to us, and they explained that Connor was poorly, and that they might have to take him to Leicester. They said he was critical, but he was stable at that point, but he was very poorly. I still at that time never thought anything. I thought, he'd be all right, it's Connor, he'll be fine. I went in to see him, and I can always remember going to see him, and he was talking, he was awake, and he had a little tiny cut on his chest with a plaster on. Well, you couldn't see the cut, it was just a little plaster there. And he was talking, but I can remember his forehead. His forehead felt like, I don't know how to explain it, like squishy. And he just kept saying he wanted to speak to Leanne, that was his fiancée. And then, my daughters came back for Leanne, to try and get Leanne. And Leanne eventually came up to see him. She went in to see him. And Connor, because he's got the two daughters with Leanne, he told Leanne that he loved her and to give the girls a kiss, and he loved them. And then the nurses come out and said they were going to sedate him so he could travel to Leicester. So we went in, and he said he'd be. I said, he told me he'd be all right, and that he says, and told me I'd be okay. And I left him then. His brother was in there, and he did tell his brother that he was tired and he was hurting. But Shane then just thought it was because he was going to go be put to sleep. Not long after that, probably 10 minutes, I knew something was wrong then, because I seen the nurse go up to the police officers who was in the corridor, and I seen her whispering to them, and then that's when I kind of knew something wasn't right. We got taken into a room, and to be truthful, I can't really remember ever being told that he died. I can't remember that bit. It's like it's just, I don't know, I just can't remember it. I got his dad. I got Shane to go and tell his dad, because his dad was at home, because even he thought he would be okay and go. He knew he was going to go to Leicester, and I think he thought that's what was going to happen. Yeah. So Shane had to go home and tell his dad that Connor had died. I had to wait at the hospital to identify him, even though I'd been there all night. This was now 7:30 in the morning, so we'd been there nearly 4 hours. I had to go and identify him, and then I came home. And that's it, really. It was all... I don't think I've ever grieved Connor because I didn't have time to. You know, murder is so different. You hear of accidents and you accept accidents. You hear of illness and you accept illness, but murder is just completely different. I didn't know anybody who related it with me, so I was like on my own. Yeah, that was hard. And then you've got the funeral, the bodies to be released, court cases waiting to go to court so many times before the actual trial, which was the following March. So I don't think I did have time to grieve him.
No.
And I don't think I've ever had that, so I've lost that because that's how it is.
So you've mentioned what happened to Connor.
Yeah.
What happened to the person that hurt Connor, that did this to Connor?
What happened to him? Eventually he handed himself in because right from the start the police knew who it was.
Now you've said to me before you don't like mentioning his name, do you?
I don't like the name.
No.
I don't really think about him. He's nobody to me, you know. I don't hate him.
No.
I don't like him. I've got no feelings at all for him. He's took too much away from me, so I'm not going to give him any of my feelings. I don't think he's worth any of my feelings. And he's in prison and he got a sentence of life and to serve a minimum of 22 years. He went out that night carrying a knife. He went to a nightclub where Connor was. He had a bit of an argument with an older man in the nightclub who Connor knew. Connor kind of stuck up for the man and said to leave him alone. They had a bit of an argument outside. There was a cigarette light flicked at Connor. There was a bottle thrown at him, and it did end up having a little bit of a bit of an
altercation.
Yeah, a bit of an altercation. The two of them. Connor got kicked out of the club. He walked back to the front. He walked through the club straight up to Connor and lunged a knife into his chest, and then ran.
So how old was Connor when this happened?
21, and left two little girls, 3 and 1.
The knife, he had no chance.
No, you can't beat a knife.
No.
And like say, the little plaster that was on his chest was probably half the size of my little finger, just a little tiny plaster on his chest. But it went into his heart, and that was it. No coming back. So, and you know, this knife, you know, you see these little cuts, but you don't know the damage that it causes inside. From the outside, it doesn't look anything, but the inside, that's where the damage is, and you can't see that. Because when I seen that little plaster on Connor's chest, I thought he would be fine. It's a little plaster.
Now I know from meeting you before that Connor was a real character. Can you just tell us a little bit about Connor and what he was like?
Connor was a lovable rogue. You know, he was no angel. You know, he got into a bit of trouble with the police sometimes, you know. Nothing major, just silly little things, you know, like riding his scooter with no helmet around the roads and having police chase him on the push bike. And but he wasn't a bad lad, you know. He wasn't a goody two shoes, but he wasn't a bad lad. He was just a typical teenager. You know, he was mine though. He was ours.
Yeah.
So he was our rogue. You know, it wasn't up to him to take his life. You know, but he did. But he was the youngest of 4, so he was spoilt as well. I don't know. He's just Connor, weren't it? Everybody knew him.
I've got children myself, and I just can't imagine what it'd be like to lose a child. And I just think it's amazing that you've allowed us to film you and to come here today. I can't even imagine what it's like having to talk to us about this.
I don't ever stop talking about Connor. I talk about him every day. You know, he's not here, but he's with me every day. Connor always smiled, so I carry his smile for him. And I do stupid things as well, and I go and, you know, go out of my comfort zone, and I'll try new things, and hence the blue hair. And because to me, Connor should be here doing these silly things and living the life, so he can't, so I'm here and I'll do it for him. So that's why I go and do these stupid things.
So we've sort of said that you've been to our, you know, some things for us and helped us with the police. And obviously we're trying to get a message across to young people. What message could you give, Yvonne, do you think, to the younger generation that's coming through now in relation to knife crime and making choices?
Just think. If you feel that you need to go out with a knife, you don't have to. Talk to someone, ask someone for help. If you're getting pressured by your peers to carry a knife, just think it's your life as well that gets ruined, not just the victim's life that ends and their families. It's their life, you know. They could end up doing 22 years in prison. Their parents are going to be sitting at home with their child in prison, which they've lost. So there's always someone out there to talk to. So if you feel pressured at all to carry a knife, just talk to someone. Don't do it. That's all I can say, really.
If you are tempted to carry a knife, think again. Think of the effect it could have on your life and those of the ones you love.
Drop the knife.